Welcome to the Advertising Forum. We are in the thick of Q4, and so we are so proud to present our Incremental Revenue Series, sponsored by Curation Media.
Today we welcome our guest, Andy Batkin, the founder and CEO of Curation Media. Andy is one of the founders of the digital media space dating back to 1994. Andy wrote Yahoo's business plan and has been in the space for quite some time. The joke in the industry is Brian O'Kelly is the godfather of programmatic, and Andy is the grandfather of ad tech. Andy, we're really excited to have you here talking about two of the hottest topics in the industry right now, incremental revenue and curation. Welcome to the Advertising Forum.
Excited to be here with you, Jeremy, and with you, EdTech. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. So as we started talking before we recorded, curation is it's the major buzzword recently. Can you explain how curation benefits both advertisers and publishers in enhancing revenue streams for everybody and making the industry a better place?
Well, it's a great question because there's lots of discussion, but let's start with the buyers. Curation helps digital media buyers by providing them with a way to access high quality, relevant inventory across a number of publishers. It allows for more precise audience targeting, improved campaign efficiency, greater control over which ad placements, all while minimizing the need to sift through a large volume of low quality inventory across multiple platforms. So essentially, it acts as a quality filter, ensuring buyers see the most suitable ad space. From the pub side, there are actually many concerns, but one big advantage of the trend towards sell-side curation is that it helps publishers tackle. I think it's a major concern that buyers have is that with first-party data, there may not be enough scale. So many publishers worry that their audiences are not big enough, but by joining curated marketplaces, they can extend their reach to audiences that are, off their sites. So it's almost similar to what retail media networks do.
So many publishers express concerns about lacking control, lacking transparency within our advertising technology ecosystem. How's Curation Media actually addressing these issues to empower the publishers that are working with you?
Well, I think what we're hearing from publishers is the SSPs are asking them to put all of their inventory and make it available for curation. Lots of them don't even know that those impressions are being packaged, by curators. So they really have no control over which impressions are being used. Could they be using them for direct versus, being a part of these deal IDs or these packaged, offerings of inventory. But the other part is the transparency part. One publisher said, so I got $3.50. I don't know what it was sold for. Did it get sold for $10? And how much of that is being pulled out, by the middle guys? So, what we're doing is that with our product, Sequency, which Tom Wall talked about yesterday, on your podcast, is we're giving the control of the curation to the publisher. So our Sequency tech enables them to curate somewhere between 48 to 61% incremental impressions that are all highly viewable, carbon efficient, and qualify and tick all the boxes to be high attention score inventory. So this way, the publisher now has the ability to decide, or the GAM has the ability to decide, do I execute this PMP with this deal ID, with this particular PMP? Do I put it into a Sequency viewable green PMP? Do I use it for direct demand? So, those tools now become more valuable for the publisher and puts the publisher in control. And from a transparency standpoint, they know what they're paying. So it's getting more horizontal, I think, for them to be able to manage their own inventory and where it places.
Andy, we're obviously focusing around incremental revenue and the importance for publishers on this series. How is Duration Media utilizing machine learning to help, assist these publishers in optimizing for incremental revenue? What are you guys doing over there today to help your publisher partners?
Well, I'm going to give you a really quick story. I was in a large agency a few weeks ago, and there was a group of young people. Well, I guess because you outed me as the grandfather, I'm always the oldest guy in the room. So this young lady asked me, so, tell us about your AI, and your strategy and how you're using AI. And I said, well, we actually have a patent on the ability to measure viewability in real time. It's not a prediction. We don't use machine learning. We don't use AI. We basically, because of our technology, know when an ad is in view at this exact moment, and then give the publisher's GAM the ability to take advantage of that real-time intelligence. Well, she closes her book and stands up and she goes, "Thank you very much for coming in, but we're only focused on AI solutions." So as I was walking out, I said, I'm not even sure she knows how to spell AI. But the aspect of what AI can do and machine learning is obviously part of our future, and we use it all the time, to be helpful to, finding out things that are useful for publishers to help their business. But the real part of what we do is that we're not just helping publishers. We're helping publishers curate more valuable inventory that they can offer their buyers. So it's not only good for the publisher and driving incremental inventory and revenue, but it's also really good for the buyers because they know when they buy a Sequency-enabled impression that it's highly viewable, carbon efficient, and has high attention scores.
And you mentioned, GAM, and as a Google certified publishing partner, and obviously a lot of experience in the industry dating back to the Yahoo early days. What recurring trends are you noticing today, and how is Duration Media specifically prepared to tackle some of these topics?
Well, I think it's a great question. We are truly honored to be a Google certified publisher partner. We're one of only, I think it's 129 in the world. And it's an exclusive club that obviously you got to go through and be credible, and provide real services to publishers to help them manage what is a very tough world right now, for publishers to succeed. Especially news publishers. But what I'm finding is that this exclusive club is looking to help each other. The way that we obtain scale, of course, is that publishers need to put Sequency into their GAM. It takes 10 minutes integration. But publishers are always skeptical of new, ideas and are you one of those vendors that you're going to overpromise and underdeliver? But what we're doing is we're leveraging aggregators, or what we call aggregators, folks that have direct relationships with publishers where they can offer them tools and solutions that help them increase their inventory and revenue. And we've been fortunate to work with a number of GCPP partners in India, Japan, Canada, US, Europe. Had a great conversation just yesterday with a group in Greece. So GCPP has enabled us to have that credibility to help each other with each other's businesses and, quite frankly, drive new revenue streams for each of our businesses. So we're thrilled to have that moniker and to be working with these other GCPPs around the world.
So, Andy, in that case, it sounds like by having that global reach and by helping your publisher partners and the aggregators do a better job of getting a more strategic ROI, it sounds like there's some decarbonization in place. That's how I would view this. And knowing that Duration Media and having known you for a while, that sustainability is something near and dear to you. Can you help us understand just how Duration Media is helping to promote environmental sustainability long term? As you've joked back and forth of being the grandfather of our industry, you have seen a lot of changes. How is Duration Media helping all of us create a better, more green ecosystem?
Well, it's a challenge because pulling carbon out of the ecosystem, the digital media ecosystem, is really important. But it is important only to some and not to a lot. It's getting more important every day. We saw the trend a few years ago that when we were creating Sequency, one of the buyers in the UK, said to us, we love this product, but if you can figure out how to pull out carbon from the ecosystem, we'll buy these impressions all day. And that's all you have to hear when you're an ad tech software company like we are, is that, well, let's create that solution. So the first part is that we are a major supporter, multinational supporter of AdNet Zero. And we encourage everyone who's listening, if you're not a member, you should be, because we really can have purpose and profit. We've proven that as you pull carbon out of the ecosystem, you can increase performance. You can enable us to, as a community, start to remove carbon emissions at the same time that you can meet your KPIs as a buyer. But what we see is Jounce Media says that on average, there's 135 bid requests for each and every one of the trillions of auctions that occur every day. So what Sequency does is we give that real-time intelligence to a publisher. They set the KPIs. They tell our system, we want that ad to be the first ad on the page that is wrapped with our tech to be 90%, 90% of the pixels in view, say for 20 seconds. And when that KPI is met, we ping their GAM and they would execute, say they call their preferred SSP and say, execute this PMP with this specific deal ID, which identifies it as a sequence-enabled impression. But we're only making one bid request. So we're taking that auction that is occurring, going from 135 bid requests down to one. And just recently, we sent out an RFP to a number of companies, and we're going to see very shortly, there'll be third parties that will be able to quantify the amount of carbon that we are pulling out of the ecosystem, not just for sequence-enabled impressions, but for others. And we think it's a perfect evolution because you've got third parties measuring viewability, you have third parties measuring attention, and now you're going to have third parties measuring the carbon that's being reduced. And I think that will start to help brands start to get more comfortable in requesting and demanding these types of solutions, because they'll be able to quantify it and won't have to worry about greenwashing or any of the other potential problems they could have with the EU or the state of California or SEC or whoever is saying, you better be telling us the truth when you're talking about carbon. So I'm really excited about, where the industry is and how far, it's come to develop these kinds of solutions to help both buyers and sellers have purpose and profit.
Incredible. Thank you, Andy, for being here. And that actually brings us to the end of this episode focused on incremental revenue. Thank you for sponsoring this series, Andy, and thank you to Duration Media.
It's a pleasure, guys. Wonderful to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you.